Reality slips far away, fiction comes alive. We start to play, hope is no more behind the closed door as we drift away from where we were before. Hope and hopelessness become one, it's all meaningless. We've already begun, yep, we are all one and the same, never opposites. We play the same game, so listen to the world and from right from wrong. Stay focused so I can stay strong. If you ever wonder why I'm trapped inside, it's probably just because I told a pack of lies. Maybe a dream, maybe it was pride, maybe for myself. I often wonder why. Until my very last breath, I'm running after life, trying to beat death.
Hold on a second. Are you trying to tell me that this rap is not helping? You still don't know what Danganronpa is? Well fine then, I'll give you a quick rundown. The Danganronpa series is about groups of students who all have a talent they are known for and forced to kill each other in order to survive. Meanwhile, they try to figure out what's going on, who's in control, and how to end the killing spree before all their friends are dead. As a person who mostly dislikes anime, it's kinda crazy that I'm this much of a Danganronpa fan. It's pretty entertaining, and I think the first game especially does a great job getting you hooked. And, of course, the series would be nothing without its cast of characters. Each one its own offensive stereotype, yet somehow lovable. They do a great job of creating heroes to root for and enemies to love hating. So let's go through the first game/anime and rank these super high school level students from ultimate hope to ultimate despair. A few things to note. Thankfully with the first one, you can play the game or watch the anime and get the same story. All the characters and main story beats are exactly the same. So hopefully you can be like me and avoid the anime at all costs. You should do that anyways, if you know what's good for you.
All this, just because I loved anime.
This is my own opinion, and I'd love to hear yours too. Let's list every character we'll be ranking today. This should be extra fun considering I don't really know these characters' names that well. Again, I don't watch anime, give me a break here. We have Makoto Naegi, Kyoko Kirigiri, Byakuya Togami, Toko Fukawa, Aoi Asahina, Yasuhiro Hagakure, Sayaka Maizono, Leon Kuwata, Chihiro Fujisaki, Mondo Owada, Kiyotaka Ishimaru, Hifumi Yamada, Celestia Ludenberg, Sakura Ogami, Mukuro Ikusaba, Junko Enoshima, and Monokuma. Man, I feel like a real otaku now. Without further ado, let's find out who is the high school level hope and who might be as cool as the Pope. And by that, I mean not cool at all. Yes, Makoto, the perfect anime protagonist. I imagine if you've seen a lot of anime, this stereotype gets pretty old, but let me remind you, basically all these stereotypes are brand new to me. And I love them all. Makoto's just a good guy and he wants to save his friends. And he hates despair. I love how every time there's a new dead body he exclaims, "What the hell is going on?" Meanwhile, a black and white stuffed animal laughs maniacally and begins wailing away at a fish as a punching bag. He's our naive little boy that we all love. That moment where he's sent to be executed is probably the coolest part of the first game. You're just in shock, wondering if they're going to kill the protagonist. And he literally only gets accepted into Hope's Peak because he won the lottery and was deemed really lucky. What a guy. Oh man, I could gush about this guy forever. Still, is he S? He's a good protagonist, but he isn't as fun as some of the others. I can't love everyone, unfortunately, so I'm gonna say A tier. Kyoko's next, and she's the too cool for you character. It's honestly pretty messed up that she knows who the murderer is in each case, but kinda just wants to see if you can figure it out. Going back to that scene when Makoto is pronounced guilty, it's crazy to see Kyoko frame you for the murder. Of course, she has her reasoning, which we find out later, but at the time, you almost feel betrayed. She's willing to take some risks for the greater good, which makes for an interesting character. I also can't neglect the fact that she's a super high school level detective. What an amazing talent to have for this specific scenario. It kind of makes super high school level baseball player look a bit foolish in comparison. I'm really afraid I'm going to put too many of these in S, but I can't keep my first waifu out of the best tier. The guy you hate to let go, but love to watch him leave. At least if you're Toko. Byakuya has the most fun name to pronounce, so I'll give you some praise for that. I just found out now that he is the ultimate high school level scion, which literally just makes him a rich boy. That actually makes a lot of sense. But he kind of takes himself out of that stereotype a bit. He's genuinely pretty smart, even if he is super conceited and arrogant. He's really the character of the first game that all the girls are going to be attracted to. I am deathly afraid of the thing in people's brains that allow them to be attracted to someone like Nagito, by the way. Not looking forward to ranking him in the future. But we're not talking about him, we're talking about Byakuya. I love the progression of his character, who eventually you see as a guy who really just wants hope to prevail. He wants the truth, and he hates those who go against that. You know, he's actually pretty cool. Not so fast! Don't forget, he literally tampered with Chihiro's body just for the fun of it. That crosses the line of simply being entitled and makes him pretty psychotic. Byakuya is actually just a horrible person sometimes, so he can't be S, but I'll say A.
Ass face.
You really do come around to him as the story progresses.
Guess that's my cue to tag in, ain't it, bitches?
I feel like Toko is the exact opposite of what I like in a character. I think the main thing I enjoy is that since she only kills in a very specific way, that she can't even attempt to get away with doing it. That's a fun dilemma for a literal serial killer to have. Oh yeah, did I neglect to mention that? Yeah, she's the high school level serial killer. Or I guess one of her personalities is. But I really dislike the other personality as well. She's obsessed with Byakuya to the point where she becomes his slave and enjoys being betrayed by him. It's very uncomfortable and not a relationship I'm willing to root for. Every line of dialogue is either being overly thirsty for Byakuya or just being an insane person.
You're wrong! Oh, Togami, I'm yours forever!
Okay then.
And I don't like either of those traits. Don't get me wrong, they did a good job at capturing her character traits, I just don't like those traits. That's all. D tier. Well, for the most part, Hina's just a really nice person. She doesn't contribute to solving the murders too often, but still, it's not like she attempted to get everyone killed after a friend committed no lifey or anything. Oh wait, she absolutely did that. Now, I will admit, I get why she might have wanted to do that. She thought the others led her to that point and wanted to keep her dignity in both of their final moments. She also wanted them to suffer for what they did. She also didn't know that Sakura did it to save the rest of them, to keep the hope going. But seriously, characters like Makoto literally did nothing wrong and was about to get murdered because of her selfishness. It sucks because it's basically the only moment she does something bad, but it's a pretty bad thing to do. Sorry Hina, I honestly really like you, but that's too messed up to go any higher than B tier. I love that Yasuhiro's the super high school level fortune teller, but can't actually predict anything. He's got some big himbo energy, that's for sure. I've never been a big fan of those types of characters. I prefer someone like Byakuya over Yasuhiro. I feel bad because he's a good guy. He kind of just goes with the flow and lets everyone else solve the cases. At least he stays out of the way, I guess. I completely understand if you love this guy, but to me, Yasuhiro is an obvious B tier. Ah yes, our first victim. Other than Mukuro Ikusaba, of course. These might end up being a lot more sad, but on the other hand, much more definitive considering we see their whole character arc. And, well, Sayaka didn't have a very good one. She weeds on her widow boy Makoto, meanwhile planning a murder so she can go back to being the super high school level idol. Because after all, how can you be an idol if no one is idolizing you? Well, this cannot be forgotten. She was about to frame our widow boy. We do not let these things go. What a terrible person. Poor Leon, honestly. I'm sure you've guessed by now, she's going in D. Speaking of Leon, he was the next to go. It's weird that he's kind of the victim in this case. If there were ever a student to deserve to graduate, I'd say it's Leon. To be fair though, she literally wrote his name incredibly legibly upside down on the wall, and he didn't even bother to wipe it away. Was he just stupid enough to only see numbers there? You could have been in the clear, man. Other than that, the super high school level baseball player is a pretty boring talent that surprisingly came in handy when he needed to hide the evidence. What a perfect scenario that the skill would rarely be useful for. Maybe it would be fun to include the executions in these rankings as well. He gets pummeled by baseballs, but apparently only the last couple actually killed him considering he looks fine for the majority of the hits. Not a great one, sorry buddy. I'm just gonna say C. He didn't get a lot of time to impress me. Chihiro. The cross-dresser that gets made fun of for wearing women's clothing. What a good, timely stereotype that has aged very well and isn't at all controversial. So as the story goes, Chihiro was very insecure with her body type and felt more comfortable being portrayed as female. However, Chihiro wants to face those insecurities and become strong, going to Mondo for help. Of course, as anyone would do, Mondo kills Chihiro because he will never be as strong as that. Chihiro is more than innocent and continues to help with the gang even after death. Sadly, the creeps ogle over the laptop that is home to the new alter ego. Just can't catch a break, can you? I feel sorry for you, truly, but I never thought you were S material. I'll give you a pity A for all the misery you endured. And now we have Mondo, a man so insecure that he killed Chihiro simply for facing those insecurities. You just suck. I probably would have put him in D tier alone for that hairstyle, honestly. I've seen pompadours, but never in my life have I seen a man disguise an armadillo as their haircut. Just admit it, bro. You're bald, and you hit an armadillo with your motorcycle, and now it's your hair. You're not fooling anyone. However, that motorcycle death cage is a pretty amazing way to go out. And if you've never seen the series before, you're gonna just have to take my word on this one. He is liquefied down and turned into Grandma's home-style Mondo butter. Okay, I might have added the grandma part, but what you see on screen right now is not fan art. It's real. Being turned into butter is gonna instantly bump you up a tier in my book any day. Thankfully though, I was gonna add an F tier for this guy, so he can go in D-Den. You're welcome. So, Mondo's gay lover Taka was heartbroken over the death over his gay lover and changed his hair and name to resemble the look of his dead gay lover. Did I mention the fact that Taka was gay and his lover is dead? Now, I have nothing against gay lovers, contrary to the assumption many of you most likely have after those previous two sentences. However, Taka mostly just doesn't get around to doing anything, despite making it through 2 trials at this point. The Super Saiyan look is kinda cool, but it ends up being pretty pointless.
This sauna is amazeballs!
Your gay lover is a dick, so you're not getting any sympathy from me. I'm gonna say C tier. Well, here's Hifumi. Genuinely, I find his lines to be very funny, despite being generally creepy.
Don't rub it in! I know how to dedicate him! It's not like I got a lot of choices!
In his final moments, however, he teamed up with Celeste and was killed anyways. The rules literally state that there can't be an accomplice. I was gonna blame him for simping, but he was actually the one that killed Taka? I guess that might be the main reason why he was double-crossed. It is very funny to have a super high school level doujin artist, which in layman's terms just means he was an otaku. The wiki says he was obese as well, so that's cool. He's also insanely stupid to call Celestia by the name that nobody else knows her by in his final moments. Do you not want revenge? Get dogged on, loser. C tier. Come on, you gotta admit, he's got some funny lines though. Oh hey Celeste, we were just talking about you. Or should I say, Taiko Yasuhiro? Guess who wanted to win the huge prize offer for killing someone so she could live in a huge mansion with thousands of hot boy servants? The part I don't get is, she's the super high school level gambler. Wouldn't a ton of money just go right into her gambling addiction? Why would she suddenly want to do nothing and be served by a bunch of hot boys? I get it, who doesn't like hot boys? But having a talent for gambling feels like it could have had a more interesting story tied to it. Especially considering her execution is just being burned at the stake like a witch. Like, why? Because she's a goth? Why not put her in like a giant pair of dice and roll her around or something? I don't know. It is very funny though that instead of being burned alive, she gets hit by a fire truck instead. That's almost as good as Mondo butter. And while I haven't been talking about the design for most of these characters, mostly just because there isn't much to discuss, I really like Celeste's outfit. It's really detailed compared to the others. I'll give you a B for that, you're still a really useless character. Poor Sakura had it worse than most of the other victims. Chihiro might put up a fight for that title though. Sakura ended up being a mole, and while a debatably cute little ground pig would have been a fun twist, I actually mean she was just working for Monokuma. Of course, this was against her will. She didn't want to, but she was threatened with the lives of her friends. While trying to make amends, Toko and Yasuhiro literally beat her up and ran away. She decided no more lifey for me and went bye-bye. And yes, because YouTube doesn't like the real way to say what happened to Sakura, I must instead say stuff like, she went bye-bye. Isn't that a cool way to respect the dead? Thanks, Susan. Sakura is only ever selfless and continues to be one of the few completely innocent characters in the game. Again, she might have been a mole, but it was only to protect the others. And no, I once again am not referring to the tunnel-digging, pink-nosed puppies of the underground. So Sakura gets an A tier. Look out, it's the Secret 16 student, Mukuro Ikusaba! Who we really know nothing about. She cosplayed as Junko at the beginning, but that wasn't really what she was like. I don't know, it's weird to even rank her at this point, since I'm only basing them off of their personalities during the story of the first game. All I will say is that she has a very fun name to shout, and leads to the biggest twist in the game, so we can put her at C, I guess. Again, it's a little weird to rank her right now, I do apologize. Well, the ultimate despair finally reveals herself. It's none other than Junko. I wanted to start it by saying that I think her design is pretty fun. The black, white, and red of Monokuma gets translated into her school uniform, and the pink crazy hair definitely gives me Psycho vibes. I've always found her constantly changing personality strange, but I guess the canon reason is because she gets bored quickly so she shuffles to a new personality? That's certainly a kooky character trait. While Junko is pretty law random, I think she's a pretty fun character to root for. She loves playing the game of hope versus despair, and even willing to follow the rules when it comes to being killed. I realize I've been kind of saying, oh, bad people go in the low tiers, but that's not completely true. If you're bad, you're going to have to give me another reason to like you, and most of them just don't. They're boring cannon fodder that are mostly here to create a large cast. But Junko is the face of despair. She's behind it all. And she loves it. She's crazy, but she's fun to just see succeed. I generally don't know if other people like her at all, but I really, really do. She's a great villain, and I'm putting her in S tier. Well, I'm sorry to say, especially because this is the last entry in our list, but Monokuma is just the worst. What a despair. Sadly, he's gonna have to go in D tier.
That's where you're wrong!
What? You're saying that Monokuma is a villain you can't help but love?
Not necessarily!
Gah! And you're telling me that Monokuma is a fun, goofy character at times that can show just how evil and despairful he can be?
Should have kept your mouth shut!
Oof! You think he has a perfect voice to complement his design and acts as an unmistakable face of the franchise?
Close, but not quite!
Eek! And that this series wouldn't be the same without him?
No, that's incorrect!
Boy! You're even going as far to say his random, kooky yet cruel side versus his very strict rule-following side are not only the perfect depiction of despair incarnate, but for Junko's personality as well? Honestly, I can't beat a truth bullet like that. Guess he's gotta be S then. And that is every character in Danganronpa 1. I guess the principal is there for like a second, but I have less to say about him than I do about Mukuro Ikusaba! Danganronpa is an insane series with even more ridiculous characters, so it was a lot of fun to go through each of them once again. Did you like the list? Oh, you didn't? Awesome, I'm so glad to hear. Let me know if I should cover the next wave of students as well. They're like 10 times more insane and over the top than these guys, so it'd definitely be a lot of fun. I also went a bit more in depth on the character stories and traits than I have in the past. Since there's only 16 students and 1 Monokuma, there's a lot more manageable. If you like this style more than something like my FNAF tier list, please let me know that as well. The next list should be a nostalgia trip to a very old browser game of my childhood. That's all I'm gonna say. I hope you look forward to it. And it won't be character based this time, don't worry. I know I kinda did those back to back for a bit there. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I will see you soon. Goodbye. Thankfully though, I was gonna add an 8. Thankfully though, I was gonna add an F tier for this guy, so he can go in D-Den. D-Den.